All right, episode 37 of KC Grid Talk is live now. As always, my name is Caleb Vieska. Joining me today is going to be Emery Lyda and Alexander Searle. As always, my two wonderful co-hosts. Today, boys, we have a very special show or episode, I guess you can say, on our hands. KC Awards hit Instagram and hit social media this week, and we have actually, that has been our main, I guess, form of debate in our KC group chat in the last couple of weeks. I know for all of us, that's been our main. We've kind of gone back and forth on what we think and who we think should win it. And I know it's been a topic of discussion. But firstly, last week we were at SSKC. All three of us were there. Alex was coaching. Me and Emery were there doing some, I guess, testing and tuning before the new year. I know, Emery, you were, I guess, busy on that front. So I guess walk us through what that process was like. I mean, I was there too, but you were doing most of the work. So just kind of walk walk the viewers through what it was
As per
kind of like.
usual.
Yeah, I guess.
I
just
mean,
just
I
walk us through what the work was like, I guess, last week.
all right. So we show up at the track. We do a good amount of vMix work. vMix is a software that we utilize to stream our races. In case you did not know, slightly proprietary information, some of which I will not go into, but more or less, we know. We looked at the arc reactor. We looked at some Mercury going into retrograde, and we came to the conclusion that next year's streams will be quality. Will continue to be more quality. More improvements on our end. We did do a lot of research and a lot of kind of setting-based development over the course of the weekend, and it's all for the product at home because there's a lot that goes in. There's a lot of complexities to it. It's crazy how you can just click one button and go live, but there's thousands of other inputs and kind of small things beyond it that kind of make up the stream and the broadcast. So no, it was a good weekend. It was a productive weekend. Myself, Simon Sykes, Brendan Simone, Riley Can, and the rest of the KC crew all kind of pitched in. And I think that we're looking forward to the first race in Orlando. But it was a good weekend testing. It was a good weekend to kind of not have the stress of Super Sunday or something like that, and just kind of be able to get to work and kind of figure some new things out.
Yeah, it was cool. One of the things that I think we were testing and I was kind of giving input in, I worked the camera, I think all of 2023 and seeing the new differences on a new monitor that we want to use next year, seeing that and going back and forth with some of the guys, like this thing has too much front end, like comparing it to a go-kart. It's like, it's too top heavy. Like we can't it's not going to be as smooth. And I know you guys were like, the camera work is like not as good. And we're over here struggling with the wind and all this stuff. But I think regardless, like it was cool to, I guess, for us to have our test weekend, just like any other team has their test weekend, just like any other, or like I guess everybody else, is like testing throughout the off season, and we were doing the exact same as you guys. But again, it was a productive weekend for all of us. A huge thank you to Coastal Link for all the hospitality this week, for taking us out there, Nick Lee and the entire Coastal Link team for taking care of us this week. We really appreciate it. And we saw some good racing. I think for all of us, it was the first time that we were able to sit back and enjoy and watch some racing action. So that was always a good time. But let's get into the gist of this show. We have 9 awards
Hey,
total this
my
week.
weekend was good too, bro. Don't worry about it.
All
Don't
right,
worry
my
about it.
bad. I guess my bad.
Alex, how did
Uh,
your drivers end up?
yeah, how did your drivers do?
They did well. I mean, I had 4 drivers this weekend, which is a lot less than usual. Usually at a club race, I had 18
He's
two,
big.
2 weeks
He's
ago.
just big like that.
So having 4, it was a nice, tone setter almost in terms of going from 18 to 4 drivers. It's a lot easier to kind of be one-on-one with everybody. But I had 4 drivers, 2 of which were on their 3rd race ever. So I was very proud of them. Theo Williams and KA Senior actually got a top 10 in one of the heat races from 30th up to 10th. So that was very impressive from him in the rain too. Leo Tavares, his 3rd ever mini race. He was the 206 cadet champ at the club series at AMR, moved up to micro for the final race of the club series, then into SSKC. So a pretty strong race to go for your 2nd ever micro race. So for him to be top 6 lap time wise throughout the weekend was very impressive. And then my 2 mini drivers, Noah and Lucas, 4th and 5th overall. And again, in a field that has Bergman, Maxwell Macha, De Janeiro, and I believe there was one more, Cam Johnson, in mini now. So 4 national drivers, and to have 2 of more of a club series drivers that are trying to move up to the regional and the national level, finish 4th and 5th. I was very proud of my kids, and I think it'll be a strong year for Rise of Racing next year as well.
Hey, big time coaching guy, Alexander Searle, promoting the next generation of racers to try. And getting to the nationals. You know, I remember at the start where we met Lennox. That was one of your kids, and seeing him across all national series, that's pretty cool. So it's cool to see stuff like that, kids that you kind of like help develop. I've seen
Absolutely.
that a lot here in Houston as well with some kids that go race nationally. So it's pretty cool. I know Emory's stuff is pretty much national all year round. So it's cool for Emory to see. I guess you know your young up and comers are Lucas Palacio, who signed with Williams F1. So I guess that's cool,
Yeah.
right, Emory?
I mean, hey though, there is a good amount of like local drivers from the Mooresville scene that I've seen
Yeah.
grow up. Like I look at a guy like Mason Walters, like it was 3 or 4 years before he really made a national dent. You look up last year and he almost had a perfect year in stars in 2023. And I don't know, like it always makes me happy to see these kind of like the local races on mine, and then also coming to SSKC or like a TSRS race and kind of see the guys that you've heard of, but you haven't really like seen in action. You can kind of
Yeah.
see in a more, I guess, laid back environment than national, kind of how those guys develop. So, I mean, it's great to see Alex continuing to coach at a really high level. I mean, after Saturday, I was thinking that he's basically the Ayrton Senna of driver coaching in the wet. So,
Hey, don't
yeah,
don't blow too much smoke in this guy's head, dude. He doesn't need it. But yes, Alex, seeing you work this week was pretty cool. I think for all of us that were there. So it's a good sight. It's a good sight to see.
it's
You guys,
inspirational.
you guys are hard at work though this weekend. I gotta say, I as much as maybe it was kind of like it was nice for you guys to probably have a more chill weekend where there's not the pressure of the live stream. Uh, I saw you guys working, and I'm excited because we have like new radios now. I think for you and I, Caleb. Am I right?
Uh, that's
Or a
uh,
new
that's
communication,
that information is disclosed, so
It's
can't share.
proprietary information.
No,
new
it
communication.
matter. Yeah, we have a bunch of new stuff coming out that I like. It'll. I guess I can say for everybody watching at home, you'll see in the first race in Orlando when we, I guess, put wheels on the ground and start working. You'll see it all that first week. We got some new
I'm
stuff,
excited.
I'm excited. We're all excited. And it's right around the corner. We have, I don't know, less than 30 days until that race rolls around. They just sent us our whole schedule for the year. And this is when you start kind of seeing how your year is going to look like compared with school. But it's been exciting. We're talking a lot about the future. We got to talk about everything that happened this year, though. A lot of awards, 9 awards total that have to be given out for people and drivers, I should say, who have been really superb all year long across all classes, from our youngest drivers being 8, 7 years old all the way up to just about 24, 25 years of age. For some of the drivers that are mentioned here. But let's dive right into it. Emory, I know you have everything prepped for us. Let's dive straight into our first award here for your Young Prospect Award, starting with the youngest drivers. Your nominees were Zane Burgess, Chico Brown, Sebastian Garzone, Parker Ives, Diego Ardiles, Enzo Vidmontien, Ty Fisher, who we had on the show last week, and Ashton Woon for your Young Prospect Award. Fellas, we're I guess going to go into it. Who our picks are, who we think impressed us the most this year, why they impressed us the most. So let's get right into it. Emory, we'll give you I guess first here.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting category because there's a few different ways you could look at it, right? The most dominant driver of the year was, in my opinion, Zane Burgess. Basically swept everything there was to sweep in micro, looked like the star driver in the micro field, the kind of next in a long list of guys that have really stamped their appeal on the class. But when you look at the competitiveness of the fields, the mini field was pretty close between Ashton Woon and Parker Ives, as well as guys like Royce Vega throughout the year. And so that definitely has some level of merit as well. And then the junior drivers, you kind of have this disconnect where the points weren't always exactly in line with what the kind of, I guess, raw pace looked like. And so for me, it came down to a couple of guys. I'm going to go with Diego Ardiaz, though. He swept the Pro Tour championships, racked up a championship at USPKS, looked to be one of the quickest drivers throughout the season. And for a driver that last year struggled to kind of put it on the money for him in every class and convert a lot of raw pace into results. This year is kind of the opposite. He was able to find results where maybe he didn't quite have as much pace and consistently was able to put together really strong championship drives. And even though Vegas wasn't the greatest for him, he was still able to have respectable results. And again, I think 2 Pro Tour championships, a dominant show throughout the year. a new team midway through the season. I think it goes Diego Ordillas in this one.
Alrighty, Alex.
I think you worded that very well, right? Where this could honestly go anybody's way. This could be any one of these 8 drivers. There's an argument for all of them. I think Burgess, like you mentioned, was probably the most dominant in respect to their own category. But you got to look at maybe just the level, right? So we had Chico Brown, Garzone, Vidmontien, Ardiles, Fisher, just in the nominees alone in the same class. That's incredibly impressive. That's not taking anything away from what we saw in the micro, the mini, any of these younger categories. Because I think what Zane Burgess did, I haven't seen in a micro class maybe ever, just with how quick he is at such a young age. But in that junior class, this was one of the more stacked junior fields that I've seen in quite some time. I understand the Diego Ardiles point. I'm going to go Turner Brown on this one just because of the sheer pace that he did have on race weekends. I think Supernats kind of summed up the year perfectly for him. Fastest driver all weekend, and then for one reason or another, walked away with 0 wins, even though I think if you would have put money on a driver in junior to win one of the 2 or both of the classes after Thursday, after Friday, and after Saturday, you would have picked Chico Brown, but it just didn't fall his way on Sunday. That's kind of how his championships went all year long. Missed a couple races, but then obviously had, mechanical problems like we saw on Dowsman from the lead of the race too. So he had a pretty unlucky year for how fast he was. And I think it was also really cool to have a Chico versus Ardiles. I know those other juniors in the mix, and Ty Fisher definitely took the junior field by storm this year. I mean, he was a rising star last year, and this year he proved himself to be one of the best in the junior category. But the Ardiles versus Turner Brown storylines that we were talking about all year long was as cool as it gets. I mean, considering they both started on the opposite teams, and then they ended up being on RPG and Speed Concepts now, respectively, between Chico and Ardiles. Really, really cool stuff. I think it's close. I think Ardiles is a really close second, but give me Turner Brown for this one.
Well, hearing both of you, I guess, talk about this, both of you guys already, I guess, talked about Zane Burgess, talked about how dominant he was, and I'm not gonna, I guess, dilly dally with kind of what I'm gonna say here. But this kid Zane was impressive all year long. I think he won every single national series that he put himself into. So for Zane Burgess to go out there and to win everything, I know his dad was making shirts and all that stuff. And he has almost every single series on there on that shirt. I think that was super impressive. He won the Supernats at the end of the year as well on a super impressive drive, and I really think for me that kid was super impressive. I know he just got back from Mexico as well, and they raced out there at KBR, and he won that as well. So that kid it has been super impressive all year long, and I mean, everybody on this list really has been super impressive, but I think Zane Burgess, champion in whatever series that he went to, I really think that's just impressive to say the least.
Diego Ordillas did sweep every championship for what it's worth. I was unsure on the 4th one, but he won both USPKS championships and both Pro Tour championships.
I think the way you finished that off, Caleb, was perfect, though. All 8 of these drivers, there's a genuine argument.
Absolutely.
Genuine argument to be made for being the young prospect. I mean, if I can give it to all 8, we probably would. I'm intrigued. I haven't looked at how close it is right now, but I'm so intrigued to see what the race is at the top for who's going to win this, because it could go either way.
Yeah. Well, also, I guess towards the end of the show, we need to check on the Google polls on who actually is leading this. But again, this is all by the time, I'm not sure when the voting ends, but by the time this episode is out, I mean, it's up to those of you guys that are watching along. You guys can vote, obviously, in the link in our Instagram bio, where everything is, on Facebook as well. Make sure to go and vote for your favorite driver on who you want to win whatever award, whatever driver you think has impressed you the most. But enough said about our young prospects. Again, a huge shout out to everybody on this list. You heard our picks here. We'll talk about the next one, the Rookie of the Year. This year, I think, boys, we didn't have too many rookies, but the ones that we did have were pretty impressive. McMurray late in the season was impressive. Stephen Miller from the start of the year put it on pole in Supernats early on. Jackson Woney as well was impressive. He raced Stars, put it on pole in his first race at the Star Championship Series in the Queen City Gambit. Austin Owens as well. He was a rookie pretty much at the end of last year, but again, had a pretty good race. Michael Avancino was pretty impressive in shifter. He was, I know he's from California with Ron White Racing, and he was doing a good job out there at COTA Challenge of the Americas on the Rock Power Plant, and I know he was also able to get a couple of wins at K1 Circuit in the opening season. Aiden Levy as well in X30 did a pretty good job, but we're going to hear it from me personally. I think Stephen Miller, considering how he ended off the year with a win in KA and with a pole position at Supernats in a stacked X30 field, I think that's all we pretty much have to say for this kid.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Stephen Miller, to me, Rookie of the Year. I mean, again, these 6 drivers are nominated for a reason. They all have a case for it. I think Carter McMurray might have been my pick if he raced a little bit more in the senior class, because in his very few starts in the X30 Pro category, he was pretty good. But Stephen Miller, to me, takes the cake here. Has enough starts in the senior class. Impressive. I think the Supernats performance in KA and X30 is what kind of puts him over the top. And just he really impressed me. I mean, he almost won the X30 race against Joe Turney. I mean, the best X30 driver in the world right now. I don't think there's really much of an argument to that. And he was damn close. So Stephen Miller for me is Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was a little bit of an up and down year for Steven when you look at it compared to his past years. I mean, started off the year with a bang at Homestead, winning a pole in round number 3 of, or I think it was round 4 of Winter Series, and then had a little bit of a tough start to his year in KA on the Pro Tour side of things, but he did pick up a win in Cincinnati. He had a lot of pace throughout the year, a lot of kind of consistently good pace, even though the results kind of came and went. And then to end off the year how he did at Supernats was super impressive. I mean, he was up in the top 5 all weekend, started the race on pole on Super Sunday as a rookie, which is nuts. Not just a rookie, but really, I believe only his second or third Pro X30 start. So for Stephen Miller to do that, for him to put himself up at the front, I mean, Carter McMurray had a lot of good pace. Jackson Maloney had a lot of good pace. Olds, some good results as well, putting it on the front row at MCC. Levy was impressive, and Avancino to be as fast as he was as a rookie and shifter is something to really kind of applaud. But ultimately, you can't really give it to anyone other than Stephen Miller, in my opinion.
Well, you're muted, Caleb. So
Apologies. I said agreed. I think we can all pretty much agree on that one. Next, 100cc driver of the year. This is Emery Lida's class. So Emery, we'll let you go first. Who do you think impressed you the most? And I don't think we're going to argue all too much on this one. I'll let you, I guess, take your pick here.
Yeah, well, I think all of them had great seasons. We saw Lissenbard win multiple races early on when he first dropped into the category. We saw Shipman put up a valiant effort for the championship in USPKS. Finn Bailiff got his first 2 national wins and looked impressive to finish runner-up in Pro Tour. Jesus Vasquez was kind of the consistent guy, winning TSRS as well as some good showings at USPKS. And AJ Myers, dipping down into the KA category after USPKS canceled shifter, ended up winning the title there. But there's one answer, I think, for anyone watching this, for anyone that's watched the category throughout the year, and it's James Overbeck. His first national win turned into 4 or 5 by the end of the season. Looked like the dominant driver from about May onwards. Came away with 2 championships and stars and Scusa, as well as a really good effort on USPKS. And I think between the growth that he showed, the speed that he showed, the consistency that he had, and ultimately the wins he was able to find, I think Overbeck's the easy answer here.
yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's pretty simple. Emery Lida, 100cc driver of the year, passed AJ Myers in the wet at Trackhouse. That's
Wrong.
pretty cool.
Wrong.
Hey,
But-
maybe
Won the fan vote. Won the fan vote.
Dude, had the coolest graphic I think we've ever put out. To be
elite
honest.
politician. Nah.
But
Studying law at the University of North Carolina. Next, 100cc driver of the year.
okay, no, I didn't get to actually say
125.
I didn't get to say my pick though.
Oh, well,
But
go ahead. Go ahead.
it's Overbeck. It's
Yeah.
Overbeck. So.
Yeah, we all agreed that was there was no contention to that one. James has been absolutely impressive. Next, 125cc driver of the year. This one, and I think this is where it kind of gets tricky. The top 3 guys on this list, Ryan Norberg, Austin Garrison, and Paulie Massimino, all won different respective 125cc championships. Paulie won stars. Austin won USPKS. Ryan was able to win the SCUSA Pro Tour. And I believe the Grand Nationals as well. No, that was Kolar. He won the shootout Brandon Carr as well put it on the pole at MCC. Diego Ramos, ADT, swept the Winter Series. When it comes to this, honestly, Ryan's been super impressive all year long. But one of the stats I think that surprises me the most is that he won just about every race that he finished. He had a DNF at Trackhouse, which he obviously didn't finish. At USPKS, he DNF'd at the SCUSA. No. Correct. He DNF'd at the SCUSA Pro Tour round number 2, or that could have been USPKS. I don't
It
remember
was
when he
MCC.
SCUSA.
MCC.
was it SCUSA?
There's
Yeah.
SCUSA, MCC,
MCC. Correct.
Badger USPKS, Trackhouse USPKS were his
Okay.
3 DNFs.
So not counting the Miami Grand National Championship, Ryan Norberg finished won every pro national race in the regular season that he finished, and that's obviously without his DNFs. So to me, Ryan Norberg was the most impressive driver of the year, and I know Emery's laughing. Well, except for Supernats as well. But anyways, he was there.
He finished every race that he finished.
He
That-
won every race that he finished. Gosh.
Elite
All right,
analysis.
I'm done talking. Next.
Alex, I think Alex goes next.
Yeah, I'll take Garrison here. I'll take Garrison. And I think simply because of just maybe this is part of, I'm using kind of like the fan favorite sort of thing because I think everyone kind of loved Garrison winning the USPKS championship.
Jobber.
It's one of those everyone loved that moments. And Ryan would have won that if he didn't DNF 2 of the 5 rounds. But Garrison deserved it. He was quick all year long. There was never really a race where you can count out Austin Garrison. So for me, got that maiden, national senior championship he's been looking after. So I think Garrison's the pick here. I understand the Norberg one. I mean, it's impressive, like what you said, Caleb, where he basically didn't lose a race as long as he finished it. So that's obviously incredibly
Except
impressive.
for Supernats and Miami Grands.
And the Supernats and Ivy Grants. But like the regular season championship events,
Correct.
he was outright the fastest or one of the fastest guys. And then as long as he finished the race, probably won it. I think the underrated one here, and I don't know if we're gonna bring it up. I'm gonna mention it. I think Paulie deserves a lot of credit for the year that he had in every championship. Ran OK and Stars, ran X30, ran KA when he was asked to, and he was so fast throughout the year. I know this is 125cc driver of the year, but I think overall driver of the year, which we'll get into later as well, Paulie has a really good argument for it. But for me, I'm gonna go Garrison.
Hey, also real quick, shout out to I would say 4 or 5 of the guys on the list here that are also developing the next generation of drivers. Ryan, we saw him and his team in full force this past weekend. Austin Garrison as well with the Racecraft Development. Paulie with Paulie Racing at Trackhouse Motorplex. ADT as well has done some coaching. And Diego Ramos as well. The Katowski boys have been super impressive as well. They were impressive last week in SSKC. I know Jack Katowski was able to get a win, and Nico put it on the podium in his first K8 junior race. So, shout out to those guys that have worked hard to develop the next generation of drivers. But that being said, Emery, you're next. Who's your pick?
I mean, Caleb outlined my rationale for Ryan Norberg pretty well there. You look at Norberg's results. The last time he finished a race and finished outside the top 4 was round number 3 of Winter Series when it was pretty much kind of a wet race. So since February, every race has been either a win or a P2 for Norberg. He won every regular season race outside of the 3 that he DNF'd. Of those DNFs, there was only one that was even marginally his fault, and that was Trackhouse, which was more of a racing incident. A mechanical failure at Cincinnati, and then DeTulio's engine blowing up about 400 feet from the line at Dowsman. Not really on Norberg at all. So for me, when Norberg had like a clean race and it wasn't by any means his fault, he dominated pretty much every race he ran. Garrison had a storybook season, absolutely deserved the USPKS championship. Really good consistency as well. But for me, I mean, this comes down to who is mano a mano the best driver, and it's hard to argue against Norberg. Even if the championship at USPKS didn't happen, even if it took a last ditch effort to win at SCUSA, if you look at the on-track performance, kind of the tape, so to speak, as opposed to the results, I think Norberg's a pretty clear answer. He's muted again.
Second time.
I said bang, correct. Sorry, because I'm sick and I don't want to cough up a storm while Emery's talking. So you see, give me a second. All right, proceeding. Pro Shifter Driver of the Year. I really think this one, I don't know if you guys are going to
Let's
argue
say
too
it
much
together.
about it.
Let's say it together.
All right, ready?
3, 2, 1.
Billy
Mateus
Musgrave.
Mateus Morgado.
Okay.
Caleb.
I said
Wow.
Billy Musgrave. Honestly, I think I don't know if I just want to go against you guys here, but to me,
I think for the same rationale you used with Norberg, it has
That's
to be
exactly
used with
it.
Morgado.
yeah. Well, Mateus, honestly, that guy was super, super, super impressive all year long for being a rookie. I really think he knocked it out of the park in his first year. But honestly, I really think bigger picture outside of wins, outside of everything else. For the Pro Shifter Driver of the Year, Billy being on his own chassis, getting a win at MCC at the Stars Championship Series, as well as having a good showing at the final round of the SCUSA Pro Tour, where he was able to get a win, and just everything that he's kind of done for the sport on his own chassis. I think that's why Billy's my choice. When you want to talk about wins, when you want to talk about performance of the year, Mateus obviously is undoubtedly, I think, was probably the best driver this year. I would say between those two, I'm not going to take a pick, but I mean, all these guys on this list are absolute badasses. They were, hands down, did a good job. So, yeah, if you want to talk bigger picture of the whole sport, I would say Billy Musgrave, definitely. In some regards, I think Mateus, I want to hold him off till after for another one of the awards that we have here, and I would say Mateus really holds that one. But for Pro Shifter Driver of the Year, I think for everything he's done, I would say Billy's my pick.
NFL Offensive Player of the
I
Year.
was literally about to say that. That's so funny.
What does that mean?
This is the offensive player of the year versus MVP race, where it's like you're holding off on Mateus to pick Mateus for the overall driver.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
to me, it's one of those like if you're the overall driver, you should also be the driver of the year in your category.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
But okay, I think the argument out of everybody, and there's again arguments to be made for everyone on this list. I think Billy's the closest to Mateus. I think Billy had a great year, and I think if you look outside of just Pro Shifter and like what he's done for Shifter, also impressive. To do it on your own chassis, awesome. I know it's not Pro Shifter, but to win Master Shifter at Vegas, really cool moment for Billy to get 5. And again, deserved it. Got the mini shifters on the way. I'm pumped about that. So Billy's doing it in
Yeah.
shifter driving, but I think you can't look past the results that Mateus put on in basically his second year as a shifter driver. First time like full time in the States. He lost the opening 2 rounds at Winter Series, and then what did he win? Was it 9 straight? It was
7 straight.
7 straight. Absurd stuff.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
won. So finished second on both of the races in opening weekends at Winter Series, and then the next time he lost a race was the final round of Pro Tour when he got into it with AJ, and he was 3 laps away from winning Winter Series, Rock Florida Winter Tour, which he swept the whole season, Pro Tour, which he won all but one race, and then Super Nats. Had the incident not taken place with Kayak at the end of that race, you're talking about arguably the greatest shifter season in modern history. Billy Musgrave, amazing for the sport of karting. One of the greatest stories we've seen. I think he's had a phenomenal year, a phenomenal race to win his 5th championship or 5th Super or Pro Tour. Why am I even saying this? 5th Super Nats victory in Master Shifter, and he had 2 really good wins in the regular season. And really, honestly, was the highest place American for most of the weekend in Pro Shifter in Vegas. But look, Mateus was so far clear results-wise, I don't think you can really argue anyone else on this one.
Yeah. Well, we're at the turning point here. We're just about 30 minutes down, 5 awards down. But let's give back to some of our sponsors who are, I guess, helping us put on this show. So we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Brandon, why are there all these charges
stop.
for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats. They got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the two-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today.
All right. Welcome back here to KC Grid Talk, episode number 37. We're talking about KC Awards. DPK Americas actually is looking for drivers for the 2025 season. So for those of you interested looking for a team on the KR, you're more than welcome to contact DPK Americas with the email attached to that commercial if you're interested in looking for a seat for 2025.
Caleb, are you looking for a seat in 2025?
I am not, because I'm broke. But that being said, I did see, and I just sent it to you guys, some new nose fairings allegedly coming out. So if you want to be a part of that, contact DPK Americas and maybe test out the new KR front fairing that I just sent you guys. And Emery responded with cool. So spoiler alert, there's another big hole in it. So that being said, we'll get back. We just went through what? What?
Yeah, you're gonna have to go back and watch the face Emery made.
You guys are so immature, seriously. Anyways, moving on to the next one of our teams. Our nominees for Team of the Year: PSL Karting, Rawlison Performance Group, Brandon Jarscrack Racing, Speed Concepts Racing, Factory Karts, Inter MS. The 6 teams voted here for the Team of the Year. Emery Lida, we'll start off with you.
I think it's got to be PSL Karting here. I mean, you look at what they've been able to do. Morgado had a dominant season in Pro Shifter throughout the year. Like I mentioned, 7 straight wins. Really, one maybe misjudgment in Supernets or racing incident away from a perfect sweep of the championships and big races on the shifter side of things. But beyond that, you had Ian Quinn and Jay Irwin having really good seasons, with Irwin picking up his first national win. Ian Quinn did not finish a single race outside the top 10. You look at what they did on the 125 side of things. You had Diego Ramos winning runner-up in 2 championships this year with both Pro Tour he finished 3rd in Pro Tour. My apologies on that. But 3rd in Pro Tour, 2nd in OKN, and then beyond that as well, Henry Wheeler finishing 3rd in 100cc. And KA Jr. add in a couple other guys like Isaac Malkuit having good seasons. I think PSL is a really good case for this, and it's close between them, between RPG, and possibly between BGR as well. But I've got to go PSL on this one.
Give me Jarscrack. BJR Racing. I think Brandon Jarscrack and his crew were really good this year. Paulie, for one, had so many, wasn't going to race, hop in a go-kart, and then go out there and win, like we saw at Charlotte, first round of OKN. Incredibly impressive. And then from there, his OKN season, really strong. His 100cc runs that he had, really good. X30, great. Overbeck got his first national win, and then from there was, we talked about it earlier, the 100cc driver of the year, won about 4 or 5 after his first one. Multi-time champ now in KA Senior. So for me, you go Overbeck, you look at Pauly, you look at the rest of the team and how strong that team was and how much the team has grown over the last couple of years, especially this year. In comparison to the other teams on this list, I mean, PSL's got a case, right? They had probably the best shifter operation in terms of the amount of drivers that were successful this year. RPG, obviously, with Norberg and then Formal on the limited runs he had at RPG before switching over. But really good stuff with Marian as well for RPG. Speed Concepts, I think you look at Garrison, really strong. They needed a couple more drivers under the tent this year for me to go out there and maybe go the Speed Concepts route. Factory Kart, obviously, I think Factory Kart will be a contender next year for Team of the Year because they are expanding like crazy. And then Intro MS was obviously pretty good this year as well. But I think for me, Brandon Jar's Crack Racing is going to take this one.
Yeah, I really agree with both of you guys. With what you guys said, I really think PSL was impressive. BJR, honestly, was one of the teams that I submitted as well for this list. But to me, it has to be Speed Concepts Racing for the team of the year. I mean, and it's a close battle for me. I think with BJR and Speed Concepts. I really think though that Speed Concepts has the upper hand in my eyes with the work they did with Austin this year. Across the senior categories, he was always consistent, always up there in the top 5 with their engine program as well. They've been super consistent. I know Mario at Speed Lab as well has put in a lot of work with everything they've done across a lot of different platforms. For that, Jackson Woney, a rookie that was impressive. There was weekends where Speed Concepts was, a one kart show with Jackson out at Stars, and even then they were impressive with what they were doing, and as well with what they did with Diego Ardiles. I think halfway through the season, to really have a driver that was up there fighting for the top 2, and then to even pull away from RPG in some races, I think was super impressive for the Speed Concepts Racing team to really solidify themselves for me to hold on to the number 1 spot as Team of the Year.
Very interesting. I think with Garrison winning USPKS, there's certainly an argument there as well as Ardiaz. I mean, sweeping. But I think the depth of the team is the one thing that you could say, like with
Yeah.
BJR, with RPG, and to a lesser degree of PSL, like all 3 of those, like with RPG, for example, you had, I think it was 40 main event victories spread across 15 drivers.
Yeah.
Insane.
Untouchable on that part. Jarsakrak's operation had the most dominant 100cc driver, 125cc champion, and a lot of success through the kind of semi-pro categories as well, whether it be in mini as well as in junior, and even senior too, with Josh Campbell beyond what Overbeck was able to do. So it's certainly a tough battle. I
Yeah.
think I still stick to my guns on the PSL pick because as much as that operation has had inconsistencies over the last 2 years, they struggled last year in the 125cc at times. I think that this year came out on top. But
Also another thing to be noted, Brandon went to almost every single race this year. And I know that takes a lot of work to go out there and do that, from club races, from CKNA races. He was out there with the 10, everything. He was at everything this year. I don't think there was a race that we went to, I mean, outside of TSRS, obviously, where we didn't see Brandon and the BJR MDR crew. So a huge shout out to them as well for the Mark Harrison performance that they had. I really think that's another thing to take into account, that the way they worked in unison was great, and I really think it's a close battle all the way through in between my picks. Obviously, BJR, Speed Concepts, any team on this list. I mean, Inter MS swept, Factory Karts. So yeah, it's going to be a tough battle. But moving on here to our 7th award, the Performance of the Year. Our nominees, obviously, Pauly Massimino at the Stars Queen City Gambit, Mateus Morgado, Joe Turney, Super Dance Double, Jay Irwin, Chase Jones, and Billy Musgrave at the Scusa Pro Tour Newcastle. I think everything being said here, I'm going to go first because I have my pick ready and in mind. Chase Jones at the Mark Harrison Memorial 200. Honestly, it didn't go the way Chase Jones would have wanted at the end of it, but seeing the aftermath of what Chase put himself through, seeing the blisters on his hand, the bruises on his knees from slapping that tank for about 4 hours in that race. I mean, Chase Jones, an absolute Iron Man of a drive, and it didn't come to fruition like he would have wanted, but man, seriously, a great drive for Chase Jones, and I really think that's why I give him my Performance of the Year. And I think another one that isn't on this list but deserves a huge shout out is Vaughn Beasley, who also was an Ironman for that race. But yeah, to stay that long in a go-kart and to really push yourself to the limit, to push your body to the limit, I think that's why Chase Jones is my pick here in this one.
I'm gonna go with Morgado at Pro Tour Orlando. I think for a couple reasons. All of these have again an argument, and I think there's one other one that I want to talk about, but maybe Emery's gonna get into it. But Morgado at Orlando was impressive for many reasons. For one, it was the first pro show race, and couldn't think of a better way to start it in both X30 and in Pro Shifter, how those races unfolded at Orlando. But to watch Morgado on a 25 lap main, a super long main after a long pre final that drivers have to go through, hunt down and stick with Danny Formal. Because again, after Winter Series, where he lost to Formal the first 2 rounds, then won round 3 and 4, this was kind of like okay, like what do you have, Mateus? Right? You beat Danny at Homestead, but what can we do at Orlando, which is a track that Danny has been very quick at in the past, right? Mateus too, but this isn't a shifter. This is a totally different beast. What can you do against Danny Formal, who at the time was probably my pick for maybe the best shifter driver in the country in the moment? This was in Squeezer Orlando. And to hunt down Formal, get around him on the final lap in dramatic fashion, I think performance of the year, an argument for like just the moment of the year with how the last couple of corners unfolded between Danny and Mateus, but the entire race, the way he drove him down and kind of solidified himself as okay, he's here. He has arrived as a pro shifter driver, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. It's my pick.
Valid. So I want to say I have two potential options that I think have not been covered and deserve some praise. First off, the one that pre-show I talked about, and I think this is what Alex is referencing, Jay Irwin at Queen City Gambit. For winning your first national race stateside by almost 10 seconds against AJ Myers, Billy Musgrave, Gavin Bailiff, Talon Yockel, Josh Conker, that entire pro shifter field, super impressive. And I don't care. It may make me seem like I'm supporting PSL a little bit excessively on that part, but the last time a driver won by that big of a margin in a pro shifter race, well, you have to go back first off to Florida Winter Tour last year with Marion Krimmers at Orlando, which, like, no disrespect to Florida Winter Tour, no disrespect to the field there, nowhere near as stacked of a field as Charlotte was. Beyond that, it's 2022 NOLA with Krimmers. So you're talking about an event that a lot of other years this would win for most dominant performance, especially considering it was his first national win. But there's another race that has never been done, and that's someone winning 2 races at Supernats in a senior category. And that's what Joe Turney did this year. Not only that, he won both without winning a single heat race on the KA side of things. Started the race outside the top 3 on both, had to work his way forward in both races, and ultimately came up, won both finals. The KA race ended up being a relatively stress-free race for him by the end of it, with the way that everyone battled for him second on back. The X30 race had to be millimeter perfect for the last 2/3 of that race to walk away with the win against the likes of Ruben Moya, Ryan Norberg, as well as Stephen Miller. So for me, Turney kind of did what no one else has done. I think Joe Turney kind of has the upper hand on performance of the year with how he did at Supernats.
Wait, so
Yeah.
who's your pick? Because you said Jay Irwin at the. You had me in the first half.
Literally said that in most other years, I think that would win performance of the year, but Joe Turney did something that had never been done before.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No,
That's on me.
that's the one that I was referencing, Emery, because I think
Yeah.
that was the other one. As much as Jay Irwin's was incredibly impressive, and like you said, probably wins
Yeah.
it most years, to win the double in senior, never been done in the same year, incredibly impressive. And the fashion in which he won the races, to not make a mistake, which is what he's known for, right? Not making any mistakes. He's the Iceman almost in karting. And then in KS senior to go out there and do what he did to that field is impressive. And I think it goes to show you how good of a driver Joe Turney is. It's almost like we expect it, right? That's why I didn't even reference it, because I'm like, man, this is Joe Turney. I knew this was gonna happen, but I think that's probably the one that I can see taking this one as far as like the people back at home voting.
Indeed. All right, moving on. Eighth award, the moment of the year, and I think, yeah, this one, this one honestly goes without saying. I don't know if we're all on the same page on this
Hey,
one.
I actually don't know. I think you and I are.
I know I'm in what was I really think if the fate of the universe was on the line and this would have happened and somebody kicks a rock and this doesn't happen, I don't think my life is the same as it is today. Honestly.
I love the butterfly
Honestly.
effect.
Honestly. And Alex, I don't know if we're in agreement because of how I don't know. This was also like a moment that me and you shared on the fence line
We
together.
did.
So this was it's Morgado and Kayak
Morgado, yeah,
collide at
Morgado and
Supernats.
Kayak.
Nothing beats that. Like to me personally, when this happens, like you talk about moments that kind of put you on the edge of your seat, moments that you look back on and you're going to look back on 5 years from now and you think about this moment. This is a moment where you're like, man, those are the golden years. Like, man, back then, like that, this is what you look back on. And this year in 2024, after all the racing that we've seen, I think more racing than I've seen in my entire life, seeing that moment on the biggest stage in the world for karting at a street race where the best of the best were, and you have Mateus Morgado and Marcus Kayak going about 90 miles an hour on this front straightaway, and they get together for the biggest win, for the biggest payday, and possibly both of these guys' careers. Yeah, Mateus won the world championship, didn't make a penny from that, but besides that, this is $10,000.
Gonna put him under
that
pressure.
you have got,
Here comes the move from.
and here you have it. Well, there you would have had it. Nice one. But I'm saying, like, fate of the universe on the line. That happened. That was just crazy, 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 crazy. And the emotion from the crowd seeing that was like a OMFG moment. You know what I mean? Like that's just
What does that stand for?
I'm not gonna go into it. But like you see that and you're like, bang! Like, dude, that was crazy. The emotion felt that day, like there was a lot of emotion felt throughout the whole year. I think all of these with Musgrave returns to national victory, that was great. For Mal Morgado, that was a good one too. Kolar wins, that's heartfelt. James also after times of trying, like that's a great moment. Paulie and the emotion from his dad, Paul, and the whole family, that was great. But Morgado and Kayak, I think that was felt around the entire world.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it too much because you said everything. I echo all of it.
Sorry, I got emotional there.
If those of you who haven't seen like the video or the picture of me like freaking out about the Morgado and Kayak incident, then try to like I think Nate Dean posted it.
Yeah, I promise you, like we were like little kids on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? When you come down the stairs that first time and there's gifts there waiting for you under the Christmas tree, that's literally what it was for me. You know what I mean?
I've never had a reaction like I did to the Morgado Kayak incident, and I feel for both those drivers because of the height of that moment.
Yeah.
But that's exactly why this is moment of the year, right? It's
Yeah.
because of the moment in which it occurs on the last race. It's the last race of the year on the national calendar. It is the last race, the culmination of everybody's hard work ended on lap 23 for two drivers. And it was from start to finish the best race I've ever seen. Incident or not, because I've heard some people say, "Oh, you say it's the best race of all time because there was a wreck." Wreck or not, that might have been the best race of all time because of one, everything that unfolded throughout the race. You had Denner who didn't practice on the verge of winning. Morgado started outside your top 10, and he was on the verge of winning. Kayak shot out the gate like a cannon and then fell off on the last couple of laps. And then they both wreck, and there's still a battle for the lead with Vasile, Denner, and Hiltbrand.
Hey, chill. Alex is out of control.
I'm sorry, man.
We got Mike Breen in the studio here.
You can't tell me. You cannot tell me this is not the moment of the year. I'm gonna remember this forever. I mean, unreal. I can talk about it all day.
My grandkids are going to ask me where I was for Supernats 27, and I'm going to tell them I was on the fence line with Alexander Searle. Seeing the moment of the year in 2024. Emery,
you know,
the floor is yours.
I was going to do a counter to this. I was going to say, well, actually, you see here, the Screws approach were opener and the first round of Pro Show with Morgado hunting down Formal throughout the race, making a last lap pass after Formal missed a shift, and then the last corner, whatever that was, with Formal trying a bit of a heroic dive, kind of a video game type move. That was incredible in the moment. I think for anyone out there that says, "Oh, it puts a bad light of the sport," to me, that's two guys at the height of their emotion battling for a very important win. Did not end well for one of them, but for the first Pro Show, it was a spectacular show out there. Definitely deserves its mention. But I mean, I just listened to two grown men pour their heart out for 10 minutes about the significance of a moment in a race, and I don't think there's any arguing that Morgado and Kayak colliding in Supernats is probably the easy answer for this one.
All right.
Yeah, I don't. And again, I don't. All three of us. I speak for all three of us when I say this. Again, all six have.
Great
There's
moments.
a reason why they were nominated for
moments.
Moment of the Year. If Morgado and Kayak, if that didn't occur, I think the debate would be generational for the other five.
If Mateus Morgado and Marcus Kayak don't collide, I don't pass my final exams this year. Simple as that. As simple as that.
I don't think that's how that works.
If Mateus Morgado and Marcus Kayak don't collide, Sergio Perez still has the Red Bull seat. Bang.
No.
That's definitely not true.
Anyways, moving on to the night. Just let me, please let me have this. Race of the year. This is exactly why you interrupted me earlier, Emery. Nominees: the USPKS Carolina Grand Prix, Renox 30 Pro. That was a good one. SCUSA Supernats 27 and Pro Shifter.
I already made my argument for that one.
I'm not even. Bang. The RMC Winter Trophy, Round 3, Senior Max.
Underrated race. Underrated race.
Indeed. Stars Queen City Gambit, OK, and Stars. SCUSA Pro Tour Round 3 Pro Shifter. Stars Clash of the Club, Pro Rock Stars. I can't just go on this rant about the moment of the year and not have the SCUSA Super Nationals 27 Pro Shifter race as my race of the year. I think it's simply said as done. Alex, if you change your answer, we're going to fight.
That's my pick. That's my pick.
But yeah. Emery, do you have a counter?
No, I think that that's the race of the year, but I will say a few things that need to be highlighted. Certainly, the Carolina Grand Prix X30 Pro race. I think had that race not happened at Supernats, would probably be my race of the year. Because it was Joe Turney's one-off race. Some very exciting battles. We saw Brandon Lemke on the Merlin get up to second. We saw Dalton Haynes basically fight for his life and then come off very poorly at the end with a crash in the barrier in turn 11. A lot of storylines through the field with Norberg getting taken out. A fight at the front. That one's got to be up there. The RMC race is certainly a good one. We saw the Queen City Gambit race between Terlecki as well as Pauly, with Pauly ultimately winning that one. That was a good race. Round 3 Pro Shifter, you had the battle between AJ and Morgado, and then Musgrave coming through to win. And then Clash at the Club with Irwin losing his brakes, with Billy coming through to win the race. I mean, these are all great races, but nothing compares to Pro Shifter Supernats. And, we've queued up a clip that I may or may not have accidentally mistimed on the play, but this race, just so everyone can see how great of a race it was, here's some of the highlights.
Truffleov's going to put him under pressure. Here comes the move from Denner. He overshoots it. Vasile side by side as well with Truffleov.
Vasile, Truffleov, and now we might have a move. How about another shot? Denner to the inside. Crossover maneuver, not this time. Move Denner.
And the leaders are closing in and colliding. Morgado
I
side by side with Cinnamon Wallstein as they drag race to turn 4, Rob, and a hip check.
100% aggressive. This corner, you don't going to get pushes, you get passes to the inside. Book it. There he goes. Morgado goes into position. More fighting further back, but Morgado makes the move. Morgado knows he's all by himself. Does he dive to the apex? Down to the bottom. Side by side contact. They're in the barriers. They're both in the wall. And here we go, folks. Super Nationals 27. Way down to the bottom for Vasile. Can he get out of the corner? And indeed, Kart back on the podium in Pro Shifter. Daniel Vasile will win Pro Shifter.
For Truffleov.
Yeah. There's
Cinema.
another 2 minutes of highlights in that race that should be played at least, but it's the best race of the year. I don't think it's particularly close.
Is there any more? Yes. finally, for overall driver of the year, I made my case earlier on today, earlier on in the show, of why it was Mateus Morgado. You guys said it. So that for that reason, it's obviously Mateus Morgado. For you guys, overall driver of the year, I don't know if you guys are going to argue too much about this.
Mateus.
Goes Emery.
Mateus Morgado.
Hey, enough said. Mateus Morgado, driver of the year. And I really think everybody else could agree with that one. For what he did as a rookie, well, quote unquote, a U.S. rookie in the shifter category. Honestly, super impressive to go out there and win like he did. And the super nats that he had up until that moment, that was arguably the moment of the year. I mean, Mateus was involved in, I think, 4 awards that we have here. So, yeah, for Mateus Morgado, to me, he's the overall driver of the year. That being said, boys, we're just at the end here. Any other, I guess, shout outs you guys want to give out to any other drivers that have been impressive throughout the year? Any other moments? I guess going back through, I don't know, whatever you guys think, thoughts, add-ons.
I know what Caleb might type from this, but I was thinking about it in Pro Shifter. Ian Quinn.
Yeah.
Every race in the top 10. And for that matter, too, Hayden Jones.
Yeah.
Both of those guys, consistency-wise, in a normal year, I think on Quinn's side of things, had he been able to run a couple more races and had a little bit more success, I think you would see him possibly be on this list. And considering where he started and kind of where
If there was like a most improved
Ian
award,
Quinn.
Ian Quinn would win it by a landslide, I think, to be honest.
Yeah. I think he had a season definitely deserving of some praise that I'm not sure he's really gotten. So I think Ian's got to be up there. And Hayden Jones, too, for a limited schedule, compared to pretty much anyone else in the top 10 of the X30 field, has very minimal seat time due to college commitments and the lack of testing. For him to go out there and, again, 6 top 10s in 6 races, number 2 played in SCUSA, consistently up at the front, had a good showing at Supernats. Those 2 guys, I think, deserve a little bit of extra praise, although maybe not to win any of the respective categories, but certainly among the best in both the respective pro fields.
All right. Lastly, here on this show, we talked about some of the best stuff from drivers. I want to talk about the KC, I guess, crew awards for not so best moments of the year. And I have the one for me. I guess keep this of just like Alex, of something that you did that was like head scratcher. Emery, something that you did. I think I know yours. But here's mine. Interview with Hayden Jones. And I'm like, Hayden, like, whatever, looking to take a trophy back to West Virginia. No idea why I said that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he told me his dad was working in West Virginia, but that was my KC not great at all moment of the year. That was super, super embarrassing, but that's mine. Alex, I don't know if you want to share yours.
I have to think. Like, I know last year I had a couple. Ooh. Emery, are you pulling up yours? Are you gonna
I'm working on it.
I cannot. It's so funny.
Is it the 4 Mal one?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I get it.
100%. What would it be? I know I've had some botched interviews and I just put it out of my mind.
Wait.
That's hard, dude. Like interviewing and then you like absolutely screw it up. One also was Jamie McMurray. That interview was like, I try to keep it in the back of my head because I didn't think it was that great. The last question I asked was like completely dumb. And I told him this and he was like, dude, you guys are live for 8 hours a day. Like, you're not going to be perfect. And that was like the best, like, oh, like, thank you so much moment. But yeah, it was both in the same weekend, literally. Stars night fight. Cursed for me. Bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think I might take the cake on this one. And I don't know how many people out there know.
I want to preface this with the how difficult Emery.
I want to preface this. Emery goes through a lot of stress in a day for 8 hours straight. He has to be perfect. No mistakes.
This is a very understandable mistake, but it's also
with the fate of the universe in the line, he made a mistake.
This was also the very first
pro show.
It was very first pro show. Second time I was on the switches, and I will say this clip is slightly edited. What I actually showed on the broadcast was onboard of Hunter Pickett racing around the Orlando Kart Center. But without further ado,
Teller. You will have Charlie Steins.
Whoa, big problem. Big problems for Danny Formal.
Danny Formal has crashed on Super Pole lap.
That's actually hilarious. I never saw that.
I've seen that because, dude. Okay, so for those of you who don't get that joke, what was that?
Funny.
That was 2021.
Yeah, side by side,
2021.
Gasly and Vettel.
Yeah,
in Monaco,
and they play
played
Stroll.
last year. That was
but
hilarious.
Emery Formal spins in quali,
Backs it into the wall. Yeah.
and then Emery plays Hunter Pickett's on board, which is okay. Moment for me. I just thought of one. Norberg Invitational, Orlando, and it was one of the heat races, I think. And Simon's on the switch, and I'm in the booth, like waiting to do interviews. And Simon looks at me. He goes, "Oh, you like? I think the race got strung out. Oh, here, just switch." And Simon had not like switched over the stream deck from commercials to camera. So I sit down in the chair and I go, "Oh, cut the camera too." And I just start playing a commercial. I immediately start playing a commercial while Xander's announcing this heat race. So that's mine for sure. That's mine.
I also have another one. I was covering for Emery while he went to the restroom or something at Charlotte, CKNA, and it was like a Legends race, I think. It was a Legends race, my very first time on the switches, and I'm just switching or whatever.
All of our mistakes.
And it was like it was gonna be a calm race, It's supposed to be a calm race, like Legends go out there, whatever. Cool. There was a flip in like the second corner at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and I'm like flipping through the cameras, and every shot is just like punched in on the guy who's like with the cart over him. And I'm just like go through it, end up on the interview camera, and I was like, I'm done. I looked at Trevor and I was like, I'm never doing that again. Never doing that again. Never touch switches until like an MCC club race, I don't think. But yeah. Hey,
no, that one was more just unfortunate than anything because you didn't have much to switch to.
Yeah,
I'm trying. Yeah, I think the Orlando one's the obvious one for me. There are a couple other mishaps for the year. I played shifter highlights during OKN for a second at what was it, King of the Castle?
Stars.
Yeah. I had a couple other dumb gaffes, but definitely there's no topping the Formal one. And the second thing too is we like messed up on the replay and weren't recording it. So that crash is just a lost file. Like everyone saw it happen on the cameras. It was underneath the overlay that I actually had set on for the onboard. But there's no record of it actually happening. So Denny Formal got lucky there. We did not get that one on stream. Wow. So
hey, we talked about it all in this episode, an hour long. Some great moments throughout the year, some not so great moments from us throughout the year. But it's been a good one. It's been a good year in 2024. Whenever this comes out, hopefully this week, we wish you guys a Merry Christmas. To those of you guys who are watching, Christmas right around the corner. Spend the time with family, spend the time with each other, have a good time, and enjoy it. Enjoy some time with family. Also, a Christmas special for us coming out. Vaughn Beasley's film by Paragon Films. It's going to be on our KC YouTube channel as well here in the coming days. That's going to be for all you guys to watch. A super, super cool film by Paragon Films in partnership with us. That's something you are not going to want to miss. You're going to want to watch on a screen, wherever, with the lights off, just all attention to it. That is something to watch and something you're not going to want to miss. But from all of us here at KC Grid Talk, we wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.